Now, action steps don't occur just overnight. Action steps usually need to be specific and they need to be very goal orientated, which means that you need to put some of your energy into it. You need to actually, do the work. You need to be able to hunker down and recognize, is this a priority? So again, our second video was really helping because if something's a priority, if it's a need, it should be right at the top of your list. This is where we start to categorize and start to understand, okay, kind of got through that first hurdle, which is expectation in a very large expanse. And again, others and ourselves. But as we begin to find those little obstacles, it begins to create some clarity. And as you create that clarity, you begin to understand and feel into what the action steps will need to be to accomplish them. They don't always come on all at once. So again, release expectation. However, you know what your needs are. You've gone and you've done the work, like you've clicked those boxes. Okay, check, 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 check. Now you're beginning to get into the action. So if I visualize a need, for me, a need is that's extremely valuable for me in this time in my life is to make sure I have space to be with my daughter. So I also need and it is a need for me to be teaching and healing and helping others. This has been a need since I can remember. Camouflage ever so subtly with what I was describing earlier as being a helper, a fixer, and a person that needs to, just be of use, I suppose. And I needed to release that persona. I needed to let go of that because that was too much of its shadow side. Now I'm in a really great state and stage to be able to help and be able to motivate and be able to hold space for people. Yet, a need for me is I need to also have space for myself and my daughter, and that's a need. So this is just an example. So to go into this example, I needed to find a solution that allowed me to be an amazing mom, an amazing caregiver, role model, and also just have some fun, the creative, the diving in deep into being with a child who is just full of life, full of energy. This is a gift beyond measure. And if you don't necessarily have a kid, but you have kids, nieces, nephews, you have them just observing them honestly in a park, you can just appreciate the amount of energy and vitality and creativity that occurs there. So that is a need for me. And so what I did is I get up at 4 a.m. and I did this when I was going through my schooling, when I was going through my counsel training, when I was going through my business school. I've been doing this off and on since my daughter, so since she was born, and that was a common and is still to this day a common solution. That is an action. That is an action step that I take, and I really begun to fall in love with. I make a whole ritual, and again, we'll talk about rituals further along in the course, but it's a ritual now that fills me. It fills my cup. It's able to allow me to check those check boxes. Now that is my process. That is something that worked for me and within my needs. Yet I want you to also activate that within yourself. Dive into those desires. What are my needs? How do I accomplish those needs? And begin to see what comes forward for you. It took, by the way, it took a really long time for me to get to those stages, recognizing and realizing that I was in emotional distress and feeling very heavy in my emotions and feeling like I was very stuck in my 3D outcome, 3D world. So in my experience in life, feeling like I was very, very stuck for a very long time. So I appreciate, and I definitely want to really highlight as well, don't force something, just take little bites into it. Do little things that feel right for you. Blocking off time. So again, for my example, what I needed to do before I kind of got to the stage where I am right now is I needed to take little nuggets of time where it was just Elaine and I didn't do chores, I didn't do work, I didn't do anything else. And I let her set the tone, like that. Those were some of the baby steps. And I needed to work on that because I'm a fairly motivated and business orientated person. For me to just dive into and be in kid mode um, was a skill I needed to work on and needed to cultivate, and now it happens so free flowy, but it had to start with little tiny baby steps, and not feeling guilty and not feeling like I was letting everybody else down. And at the simultaneously, funny enough, I was letting my daughter, felt like I was letting everybody down. So if you're there, if you're in that state, I highly encourage these first few steps until you get some momentum, until you start to really trust your intuition, trust your inner guidance system. Start small, little baby micro steps. It's beautiful and truly incredible where you can go from there.